Tra-la-la, tra-la-la, la-dee-da. I dreamed of a fairy lady in a strange land. She captured the hearts of all the boys and men. She wore a gown of pink and purple roses. It was so tra-la-la and so la-dee-da.
In this video, we will be looking at the mise-en-scene and production design of The Love Witch, focusing primarily on the aesthetics of feminine horror. The Love Witch is a movie filmed on 35mm film, designed to look like a 60s British exploitation movie, and features a Renaissance harp soundtrack. But it all comes together for a great film experience. About a sad woman with a dark past moving to a small town after her husband mysteriously passed away. She then begins to look for her next victim, boyfriend, but is continually disappointed. Eventually, her mental state deteriorates, and we reach an inevitable conclusion. This movie is as camp as Rocky Horror Picture Show and as eerie as The Wicker Man. This movie is a great argument for auteur theory. The vision for this movie is owed almost entirely to writer, director, editor, producer, costume designer, and production designer Anna Biller. She hunted for years looking for vintage furniture and clothes made in the era she sought to emulate. Any props that Biller couldn't find, she made herself, like the now iconic pentagram rug, where Elaine chants "Love Me" while gazing into the camera. By carefully curating these pieces and creating intricately composed sets with period-specific pieces, she transports us back several decades. The house that Eileen moves into is a decaying Victorian house, the perfect backdrop for the soft occult shenanigans later in the movie. We also experience a tea room so pink it looks like the inside of a cake, a gaudy strip club, a spring field, a medieval festival. These are all scenes presented to us by Anna Biller to create the world of The Love Witch. The inspiration for the aesthetics of this film primarily incorporates medieval occult imagery and 60s Technicolor films. Think Funny Face meets The Mask of the Red Death. But Anna Biller also combines several modern elements. For example, our heroine collects flowers and herbs whilst frolicking in a field, then comes home and uses a chemistry set to synthesize a love potion. She dons latex gloves and tends to a cast iron cauldron on an electric burner. Later in the movie, there is a scene set to look like a medieval summer solstice festival. Bright hazy yellows and jewel-toned costumes set the outdoor scene. The summer solstice scene directly references tarot cards, showing Biller's masterful combination of historical imagery and witchy references. Often, the modern witch aesthetic evokes images of Morticia Addams in a black dress and pallid white face, and we definitely get a little of that in this movie. However, Biller's feminine horror is much softer and pastel. Biller devoutly tracked down original gun-sax dresses to evoke the perfect 60s and 70s romantic Victorian look. The fairy tale costumes were cut from actual medieval dress patterns Biller had to blow up from historical texts, then custom make. These costumes took a painstaking amount of time and effort. Biller made capes, codpieces, lined and washed and applied trim to get the most accurate costumes possible. One of her biggest inspirations were old tarot cards. This can be seen in the coloring and composition of the scene, but is also referenced in the background decor of her apartment. The paintings on the walls not only look like tarot cards, but provide an eerie insight into future events for observant film watchers. The film features compositions from Biller herself and Ennio Morricone, who began his career making scores for Italian comedies, but has since seen his tracks featured on movies like The Aquatic Life of Steve Zissou, The Hateful Eight, and The Untouchables. The score of this movie adds to the ethereal hazy spell that Biller places on the audience. The slightly discordant soundtrack, lifted from Devil in the Brain, heard now playing during the duration of this video, does a lot to add to the suspense and dark undercurrent of the film. Biller's contribution to the musical score can be heard in part in the introduction to this video. It is a melodic harp music that sounds like a tale or tune from a fairy tale. There is much more to discuss in regards to mise-en-scene in this film. However, I believe that what we have discussed so far shows that great setting and production design can transport us to a different world through cinema.